This is part 2 of Google Analytics magic on craphammer.ca. This week I wanted to show you how to get more out of the dashboard view in Google Analytics. Soundstreams.ca has been kind enough to allow us to use their account for this demo. You see it loaded here. If you're in Toronto and looking for amazing, life-changing, world premiere concerts, then check them out. They rock. I should say I'm slightly biased because I'm on the board. The dashboard is the starting point for any investigation in Google Analytics. It's what comes up when we open any Google Analytics report link. We're seeing it here. The first thing I do on visiting the dashboard is look for spikes or aberrations. I'm looking for increases in activity so I can determine what's working out there. In this case, I'm drawn pretty quickly to an uptick from March 1st through 3rd. We see that the level of site visits was about double what we normally see on this site. So my first line of inquiry is not within Google Analytics. I want to check in and find out what actions the organization took during this time period that might result in a spike of traffic. Did they launch a newsletter? Are they promoting a program or event with paid advertising? Were they featured in the press? In this case, I'm intrigued as the marketing individual at the organization was not aware of having done anything during this time period. Could it correlate to a March 3rd event with John Adams? Let's find out. So my next step is to check any configured goals. I always want to do this because I want to see if the spike corresponded with an increase in behavior we want to generate on the site. In this case, SoundStream has one active goal set up, signups for their e-newsletter. I can get more details and see this by clicking on the View Report beneath the Goals overview. I'll do that now. Goals allow us to watch for key actions and also calculate an ROI, return on investment. If we were measuring ticket sales or had a campaign running to drive more newsletter signups, I could calculate my cost per conversion by dividing the new conversions we achieved this month by the costs we paid for any ads or activities we undertook to drive this behavior, an ad, a letter writing campaign, etc. Setting up goals is a great way to measure conversion on your website. I'm not going to go into this today, but I'm happy to do so in a future episode if there's interest. Just come to craphammer.ca and leave me a comment. Let's get back to the dashboard by clicking on the dashboard in the upper left. In this episode, I want to show you how to use the Advanced Segment feature in Google Analytics. It sounds complicated, but it's actually quite straightforward, and it's a great way to quickly ascertain the question we are now looking to answer. What drove this increase in visits from March 1st through 3rd? Advanced Segmentation in Google Analytics is just a way to slice and dice your data in real time. It's one of the fastest and easiest ways to start getting some insight into what is driving increases in your site traffic. So without further ado, let's take a look. We access this feature by selecting the Advanced Segments dropdown in the upper right of the screen. The Advanced Segment selector will now load. And I'm just going to start by demonstrating how this works because it's a really fast way to just grok and get this feature. So I'm going to click on New Visitors and Returning Visitors. Then I'm going to click on Apply. The dashboard will now reload. And voila! I now see 3 lines on the graph. The blue line is the exact same as before. It's the total number of visits each day. Only now, I can also see the number of those visits that are new versus returning. The legend shows you which line is what. If I roll over any day, I can see a breakdown of visits for that day, broken down by all 3 of those, as we can see here. So I can quickly see that on most days, return and new visitors are relatively constant until March 1st. Then something interesting happens. I see a significant uptick in new visitors in the yellow line, right here. Something on or around March 1st generated a spike in new visitors to our site, which is awesome. But did they come directly to us by typing in our URL? Or did they get referred to us by clicking on a link? Let's find out. I'm going to click on the Advanced Segments dropdown again. I'm going to deselect New Visitors and Returning Visitors. And now I'm going to select Direct and Referral. Direct traffic is people typing in my URL, and referral is people clicking on a link somewhere on the web that brings them to our doorstep. So click Apply, and the graph will reload. Now I can see there was a significant increase in referral traffic over the March 1st to 3rd time frame. So I know that I had an increase in new visitors, and I also had an increase in referral traffic. So now I want to know if there was a single site that started sending me significantly increased traffic over this time period. To do this, I need to leave the dashboard view. Before I dig into this, I'm going to put my segments back to new and returning visitors, again by clicking on the dropdown, selecting those variables, and clicking Apply. And to make this easier, I'm going to narrow down the time frame to just before the spike in question to just after. So I'm going to click on the date range and select a start date of, let's say, February 28th, and an end date of March 5th. And I'm going to click Apply. And the graph will reload. Now let's go find out who is referring us that traffic. So I'm going to click on Traffic Sources in the left nav. Hey, notice that our segmentation is following us through every chart and screen we look at. How cool is that? It's actually a really powerful feature and worth exploring. But let's keep going. Let's click on Referring Sites to get a list of the sites that sent us traffic over this period. And there we have it. Workandculture.ca and Media Job Search Canada sent us 114 out of the 210 visits. When I asked the organization if they had done anything over this period, they didn't think to mention they'd put the call out for a new position. Maybe we should have a goal on the site for submitting resumes, but that's a topic for another day. So mission accomplished. We found a spike, identified a source of traffic to our site that showed our efforts to get the word out about a new position may be working. So that's a quick guide on how to use advanced segments and your dashboard to find things of value or interest to your organization. Before I leave, I want to show you one other segmentation I usually look at. Let's click back to the dashboard. I'm going to first go back to a 30-day view of traffic. If you're experimenting with or running any paid pay-per-click search campaigns on Google or Yahoo, then segmenting by paid search traffic and non-paid search traffic is a great way to see what role paid search is having on your site. So I'll do that really quickly again by clicking on the segmentation, turning off the old and turning on paid search and non-paid search, hitting Apply. In this case, we can quickly see that SoundStreams isn't running paid search, which is why the orange line is a flat line. But if they were, it's a great way to see how it's working. So there you have it, the basics of advanced segments. Next episode, I plan to share how I approach measurement and how to determine the amount of time and effort to put into polling reports. With a tool like Google Analytics, hours can be spent every day looking at reports. How much time should you really invest, and what are the key measures of value to your organization? So remember, you can find more, comment, and subscribe by visiting me at craphammer.ca.